A slightly longer video today as I walk you through my workflow process using the free software Garmin Virb Edit with my GoPros and my head units to convert rides like this into looking like rides like this. Super cool, super powerful, and it's free as well. So for Mac and Windows, you're good to go. Here's what it's all about. Over on Garmin.com is where you'll find a copy of Virb Edit for Mac or PC for download. Quick overview of what the system actually does there. And this is interesting, compatible devices. It lists all the Virb units. I don't own a Virb unit. I've never owned a Virb unit. I've never used a Virb unit, but I've used this software extensively. So grab yourself a copy of that, download it, install it. Once installed, you'll need two things. Obviously, your video footage from any camera that's compatible, not just the Virb cameras. So today I'm using the GoPro Hero 6, which was on the front of the bike today, and I've got the fit file or the data from one of my Garmin Edge units, collecting the data from heart rate monitors, pedals, and obviously the GPS data. So let's get about making that video with the cool overlays and how it's done. First up, create a video. This is called Fiskin Road. That's obviously the road we're on. Need to import the video. You can see here, connect a Virb to start importing. Again, you don't need a Virb, you just need something that's compatible. So jumping over to the SD card out of the GoPro, we can see, I think that's that one there. So we can do a quick look. Fiskin Road. Oh, fantastic, it's upside down. We can fix that. But that's the video that I'm after, so we hit import on that. Two options for importing. You can import only, which leaves the file in place and works on it as if it's where it's currently stored. You can't take your SD card out. Or copy clips, which will copy the clip over to your hard drive specified location. Might be a bit faster doing it that way. I'm leaving the SD card in, so we'll go import only. And you can see there, bang, it's just super quick. It'll do some optimization on the screen there, so it's a little bit easier later. This is just a quick tutorial of how to do what I do on screen. So once we've got this clip in there, drag it into the timeline, we can expand it out. You can see it's a little bit upside down. So first thing we need to do is rotate that 180. Obviously it's a common thing with GoPros or sports cameras that they will auto detect and be the wrong way. So that's how quick it was to get the file in there and it playing in the correct way. Orientation. Cool. Nothing new there though, so it's just the same clip as we had before. Where the fun starts is the G-Metrix. What we click here is G-Metrix, data, import G-Metrix. It says here, no GPS devices detected. What I always use is just the file itself, so we can grab the GPX or fit file from anywhere. Here's one I prepared earlier. I'll put the fit file in the right location. You can grab this off Garmin Connect or grab it straight from your device. There's your fit file. And here is all the information. So starting off at the coffee shop, there's my entire ride shown on the screen there and all the data. So I've got position, elevation, temperature, heart rate, cadence, power, recorders. You get the picture. It's all listed there. There's a few extra metrics if you're using other power meters such as the Vector 3s with the advanced pedal metrics there. Okay, now as the computer whirs up, it starts cranking away in the background there. We will import this log or use this log because what I'm matching is this little section just here with the ride that I did. So I started the camera here. I finished the footage about there somewhere and I'm just going to chop it. So use this log is what I'm after. Okay, so by default it has some metrics on the screen. They're not synced, they're not correct, and we need to really line those up. Here is where the skill comes in and a bit of practice. Okay, with that camera now sorted, back over here to the G-Metrix sync. Now what that means is we've got the entire ride loaded as the fit file, but we only have a few minutes of footage. So we need to line up where that few minutes occurs in the whole lineup of data there, or the timeline of data. That's where the G-Metrix sync comes into play. By default, it has a guess, and it's not too bad. Yeah, what you can see there is the upside down version of the video. So Garmin, it's close, There's a few little gotchas with Garmin Virb Edit though. So in this case here, we've got some upside down footage to try and sync up with what's going on. So the entire route's shown here. There's very close. That's very, very close to where we're at. You can see we can move the start point back and forward now. What I usually do is pick a corner that I go around and line it up with that. So we're moving forward, moving forward, moving forward. And we're into the corner. Yes, it's upside down, but we move it forward to about there. and it's a bit of give or take, a bit of trial and error. So we'll line that up there for now, and we should have the data on screen which lines up within a second or so. We can refine this later on with our ride today. Now the gauges is the next thing. So we go up to, well, first we'll go to templates and get rid of what's on the screen because it's pretty useless, the default one. So we rip that off to none, hit continue on that. There's a ton of default ones here. We go to cycling for today. And you can see there's all these pre-made templates, speed, cadence, heart rate, and all that on the screen. So that's not a little bad one here to start with. You can customize this fully though, and that's what we'll do today. We'll fully customize it. But you can see here, those templates, you can scroll through them in real time. But I've got my own little formula that I use. So let's go through that one. So I hit none on that. We'll go to about here in the footage. Gauges is what I'm after. Okay, so data type. Here's where the fun starts. Data type. So first up, we want, well, power is probably the number one thing that I work on. So let's find power. We can go power 3-second average. You've got a ton of different gauges to use here. Again, this is just more of an introductory, and this is for you guys to jump on yourself and have a bit of a play around. Your preferences will be entirely different to mine. I'll show you what I do with most of mine, which you'll be familiar with from the other videos. So we're going to put the wattage down here, and you can see that changes in real time. So you can see there, that's where I was cranking out 500 plus watts just on that last little crest. That looks pretty cool about there. We can go full screen to move those around into perfect position and back. So there's what's taken care of. Next up, we want speed. Let's put recorded speed in a little circle in the center. I don't mind that one there, but that's too big. So we can go to appearance, transform, scale that one down. Or you can use the scale thing on here. It's a bit finicky with the mouse clicks, but it can be done somehow. Let's use the scale thing there, right. As long as it fits in there nicely. Sometimes around here you can find a spot where it's a little lighter behind the gauge. Not quite a blue sky day here today in Ballarat. Let's go here. That's going to look okay, maybe a little smaller. And a little further around. We can jump over to full screen. Yeah, that's not too bad. Oh, that'll do for today. Cool. So we have power, we have speed. Next up, let's put cadence in there. So back to gauges, we have cadence. Now, the one that I typically use is this one here. Sort of line it up with the power, and then we can just shrink it down a little bit. I usually sit that somewhere around there. Not too bad. Okay, cool. So we have cadence, we have speed, we have power 3-second average, so it's nice and smooth. Cool. And that's for the whole video, all the way along as you scrub through. Next up, once I'm around this corner, I really don't care about me riding along. So what we're going to do is chop the video once we've reached this corner. So we'll finish off about there. That's as simple as trim right in the editing. Cool. And while we're at it, let's just trim the turning onto the road from there. Trim left. As you can see, I'm jumping around a little bit, but as you sort of click through more options and you start refining what's on the screen and what you want to see, that's just what you're going to do. You're going to be jumping around a few of the different edit options. But the main one is getting those data values on the screen in the correct position. So let's have a look at this. We'll rewind right back to the start. as we put the hammer down. Excellent. Okay, cool. Cadence drops down as we drop down another gear. That's looking pretty good. Okay, back to the more gauges. And we'll go elevation to show you the elevation profile on here. There's a few different options. There's a few combination elevation profiles. There's some longer ones, or there's some shorter ones. We'll put the shorter one down here. Let's put it up the top. Elevation, and again, you can change the transformation of those. So a little bit smaller, so it's not too overbearing at the top there. Get that crammed up. Okay, cool. So elevation, and you'll see as you ride along, now what's happening here is the screen real estate is kind of getting in the way. Again, interface, there's a few little quirks that you're going to have to work on. So there's a few pixels there, but as that little menu drops down, you have to readjust. Okay, cool. So we have elevation at the top there. Let's throw in distance. Easy as that. So we're 1K in there, and it should be distance 0K at the start. So dropping in distance there. Grade. Now the quality of the data that you get is only as good as what your head unit records. So if your GPS starts to go a little wonky through the trees, you're not going to get good data. If your power meter drops out, you're going to have dropped out power meter data on the screen here. If there's no heart rate monitor, no heart rate monitor data. Speaking of which, the heart rate's an interesting one because it's not really a distance or a grade thing, it's just my response to what I'm doing. And rewatching this, watts are relevant because it's sort of, you know how hard I'm pushing to go up the hill, but heart rate, it could change on any given day. So I don't think I include heart rate on a lot of mine, but we'll put it on there anyway, just because it's there. Now to get those lined up properly, we're going into full screen mode. Find somewhere with a nice bright background that's good enough. You can see there's a pixel or two in between, so you can line those up. That's not too bad. Good enough for what we need. Yeah, 182 beats a minute at 500. Yeah, okay, I was working hard there. Okay, so this is looking a lot cooler than having nothing on the screen. Without anything on the screen, it's just someone riding up the road. You don't know how fast, how hard. There's no context to what they're doing. So this absolutely adds a lot of info of what's going on. Okay, with heart rate now on the screen, let's add some more here. The next one is track. This one's pretty cool, especially for lap circuit racing. If you want to put the lap on the screen as you go around multiple times, you can see where you are on the course and you get to know the course rather than just looking at a road that just seems to be one straight line on the screen. So there's a few options here for track. That's probably a bit too small, that one. That tells us a few extra things. That's probably the one I want. There's not much to this track. It's pretty much up the hill and around the corner. Which one's better? Okay, there's a massive one there. We don't need it that big. We'll delete that one. That's the one we're going to use, and we can go and change the rotation of that, just so it's a little bit more friendly for the screen real estate that we have. We don't want to overload the screen with all the data that we have. You see some people put up big watts and some of the templates just massive. Doesn't matter. Sometimes it's about the ride that we want to enjoy, so just straight down the line and off to the side we can see how things are going and where we are. So we have elevation, distance, grade, heart rate, course, where we are on the course, so you know how far to go as well. And we have all the other metrics there. Now, what else do we have here on gauges? It is a bit of fun playing around with this. So as I said before, jump on this. This is just an introductory about my tinkering and how I go about stumbling through how I get mine all configured. Next up, duration, date and time. Duration, probably lap duration. Now, some of these do get a bit muddled depending on when the event actually starts. For example, if you were to start off a course and record prior to where you hit the start line, you can actually set the event start time to down the road by 100 meters or so. So that will read dash, dash, dash until you pass that certain point that you set, which is pretty cool. With this, we've started the video right at the duration that I want to start with. So again, duration, is it needed? Probably not, because you've got a timer on the screen anyway, and 1 second goes at 1 second watching these videos back. But I guess you can, double check how far you are into the ride. Now, you can see there I'm having trouble grabbing that duration logo there, so I go up and select it from the menu. And, okay, now I've got it again. Again, this interface takes a little bit getting used to, but it's free, so you're not paying too much for this one, only your time. Duration, not really. We can put that at the top there. That'll do. Cool. Not the neatest, but again, we're just populating this with what's there to show you guys what it's all about. Distance, elevation, so we have distance already, relative grade, course, track, coordinates, circuit shape, motion, duration and time, circuit shape, lap time, cadence, power, temperature. Oh, okay, this is going to be a little depressing. We're a few weeks off winter here in Ballarat. Where would temperature go without it being too obnoxious? There we go. That's a pretty basic temperature. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Perfect, perfect. So we can just add that. Maybe we just sit that there. And then we'll pull the transformation down a little bit. So 8 degrees Celsius. Is that okay where it is? Yeah. No. Temperature will grab you. We're going to move you. In a minute, we will move you. Let's see if we can grow you before we can move you. Come on. Okay, let's start again with temperature. Gauges temperature. We'll drag a new one over. How about we sit it down here in the corner? Okay, cool. That's out of the way. It's there if you want to see it. If you miss it, no biggie. Question is, does it get cold into the top? 8 degrees C, 9 degrees C, so there's not much happening there. But on a longer ride, you can see that change, or if it's during a race, on a very hot day. Again, to jump around, you can change those to freedom units if you require. It's up here under units. Elevation can be in feet, weight can be in pounds, kilograms, etc. Celsius or freedom units. So, all good. Okay, back over to what we've got here. It's looking like a bit of a monster at the moment, but the data's all there and it gives a lot more context. So space, just a preview, or hit play. And we'll just have a quick look at this section here where I know I jammed it up to 500 watts. Does it match up with what I was doing? You should see the speed slow down a little bit. There we go, 15 k's an hour, 14. Working hard, heart rate up to 182, 12% grade. Awesome. Excellent, cool. That looks really good. Well, it matches up and I'm happy with the work that we've done. So that's pretty much all I use Virb Edit for. I don't use any of the transitions or soundtracks or titles or anything like that. So it's just simply grabbing that raw footage, putting it together, chopping it end to end for what I want, matching it up with the time of where the fit file data starts, doing all those templates and setting up the screen for what I want to show on screen. Today's is looking a little ugly, but it's got everything there. I just wanted to show you as an example of what's available. And then I use everything else in Final Cut Pro. So there's, I was going to say a quick overview, but there's a tutorial of my workflow of what I use for the free software, Garmin Virb Edit on the Mac, and what I use to I guess, bring things to life, add more context around the rides that I'm doing, both indoors and out. And the sky's the limit for this as well. So think outside the square. I've done side-by-side power meter comparisons by exporting one of these, re-importing that one again, and then doing a second set of overlays on top of that. So it's a bit of a process to do that. So if I wanted to show I think it was the Watt Team Power Beat up against the Vector 3s on a hill just near here actually today, where I rode. 2 power meter data things on the screen at once. You can't do it by default, but again, export one with all the overlays already there, and then carefully import the next and do the exact same process, just moving the gauges over a little bit. So that's pretty cool. One word of advice, when you hit export, and if you're going to re-import this into anything that will compress it again, always go with max resolution and max quality, because if you compress something down, edit it in another software package which will compress it again, you start losing a lot of that granularity. You lose a lot of quality, I guess you'd call it. So what we're going to do here is export in, well, 2.7K is what the footage was native, 60 frames per sec quality, absolute max. I'm going to hit export on that. We'll save it over to Fiskin Road. I'll call this Fiskin Road with overlays. We'll do that. And that's the footage that I then import into Final Cut Pro, and we'll have a look. So here we are. Here's the section of the ride without, and here's the section of the ride with. Much, much cooler having all those data overlays. So there we are. Go forth and play. Again, even a phone camera, any camera that you've got, as long as it imports into a compatible MP4, I guess, it should work just fine. And you can collect data from anywhere. So Garmin's, Bolt's, Brighton's, Lazine, whatever you've got. If it's a compatible fit file with a compatible video file, you can use Garmin Virb Edit to do these cool overlays. So we'll leave it there for today. Thanks for watching my workflow process. Hopefully that answers a few questions people have had about how I get that data overlay in place and how I do picture-in-picture with other data overlays by exporting one, re-importing it, and putting more data on the screen. The software is free, so go nuts. Get your phone out, get your cameras out, whatever, overlay your data, and just add more life and more context. It's coming up to summer in the Northern Hemisphere. I want to see a ton of rides with a ton of data. Just keep the crash ones off the internet though, they're nasty. Okay, thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.